So today, after I took a massive dump, I decided to platinum the remastered version of God of War 3. According to PlayStation profiles, it only has a 14.83% on the amount of players who have this platinum.
I beg your pardon? I beg your pardon?
But the rarest trophy being Amazed, which only has a 2.9% of players actually having this achieved. It is rated at a 4 out of 10 difficulty, but for me it felt more like a 6 out of 10 at least. I don't know about you, but trophy hunting has become my new addiction, so time for me to put the Fent aside and quit gambling for a bit and get these trophies. So I actually set a new goal for myself and decided to make a YouTube channel showing my journey. I don't have a specific time I want this done, but I want this done, you heard? So without me going into Yap Town, let's get straight to the game. So right off the bat, we play as Kratos, aka the God of War. We start off seeing all the gods getting ready to defend Olympus against Kratos and the Titans. The first boss was against this horse water thing, which was pretty easy to kill, and then Poseidon himself, which we ended up beating the brakes off him and throwing him out of his water kink suit and confronting him and then sending this man to the Shadow Realm to never be seen again. And that's the first god down, and many more to go from here. We ended up getting a trophy called Releasing the Floodgates, which was Sigma as fuck. Also, Zeus zapped off Gaia's hand, which made us fall into the deepest, darkest hole, but not the kind of hole you're thinking of, you perv. We ended up in hell and had to make our way through the river, which took away our powers and health, which made me sad because now we actually had to grind for it back. While playing, I ended up having to figure out a small puzzle, which for some reason took me forever. Like, looking back on it now, which really wasn't that hard. I just had to take time to actually observe everything, but in my mind, I was trying to speedrun the game like I already knew what I was doing. So yeah, that wasted so much time. The next trophy was called Burnt to a Crisp for pretty much killing this guy who had a bow that shot fire arrows that we needed for some reason. We pretty much took bro's loot and made him think we were gonna save him. Yeah, brutal stuff. Next trophy I got was for upgrading my weapons, which I did after killing some enemies and making my way through a hallway. Pretty cool. Next we did a puzzle with this elevator contraption that led me to a door that had all these hands reaching out to grab my cock, which I believe in consent first of all, but I know a lot of people out there don't. So yeah, I pretty much just got molested here in this section. Anyways, that gave us the trophy that's pretty missable called Mr. Hand. While fighting more naked enemies and titty monsters and solving more puzzles, we ended up getting our next trophy for killing 100 enemies with the bow of Apollo, which was nice. Pretty cool. Next, we were making our way through Hades' kingdom, which again, we had to solve more puzzles, fight off more annoying ass enemies, see more titties, eventually break into his statue with his wife's dead body. Weird, I know, shocker. Anyways, we ended up in our next boss battle against Hades himself. I was kind of nervous because it was dark as heck in here and this dude was like 20 feet taller than us. Anyways, we ended up kicking his ass and getting our next trophy called Depths Below. We made our way out of hell finally thanks to this portal, and thank God because it was getting spooky down there and I was tired of being a scared little boy who needed his mommy. And yes, I call my girlfriend mommy, and if I don't call her that, she beats me. We made our way across some debris and found Gaia, the grandma that threw us down here pretty much in the first place. So we chopped that bitch hand off and give her a taste of her own medicine, which gave us a trophy called Candyman, which, hey, I would have chopped her hand off anyways. Next, we got a trophy for covering Kratos in 500 buckets of blood. Next, we found the god Helios. We ended up ripping dude's head off so we could use his head as a weapon. Basically, his head can be used to blind enemies, which will give us our future trophy, so that's a plus. Next, we ended up in the labyrinth meeting Hermes, the fast god. Well, to be honest, not fast enough. I made my way through this beautiful hallway and got this trophy for ripping a dude in half. This gave us our next trophy called Torn Up. Very nice. Next, we ended up meeting Kratos' brother Hercules in a gladiator pit, and Kratos pretty much didn't want to fight bro, but bro was talking shit, so we had to put him in his place. We pretty much got this trophy for blinding a lot of enemies in the meantime with the head of Helios, and we ended up beating Hercules' ass after he tried to little bro me in front of the huzz, bro. Kratos punched his face in, took his gloves, which we need later for puzzles and, you know, other enemies, and we got the trophy Sibling Rivalry. Next room can be used to farm 3 trophies, which I already got and didn't have to do. Instead, I focused on one, which was Obedience School, which I got for kicking 50 hounds. I don't support animal abuse, but these were some mean-looking dogs. Anyways, there's a lot of boobies shown in this section, so due to my channel's future monetization, we're going to skip this part. Talking about boobies, we got a trophy for sleeping with Aphrodite, this dude's wife, and I'm not making this up, we literally had to clap her cheeks in front of her servants to get our next trophy called Ladies Man, which I deserve a subscribe from you all right now because my Latina girlfriend, if she sees this, I'm potentially going to end up in the hospital. And I have to clarify that she's Latina because we all know what they're known for. But my God, is it worth it? After clapping some cheeks, we ended up in another pit full of enemies and had to fight our last centaur, which, by the way, there are 3 of these guys, and it's important to keep in mind because if you have killed them without gutting them, you don't get the trophy. So keep in mind because you have to gut them, not kill them in any other way, or you'll miss out on this trophy called No Guts, No Glory. To keep things short on the next objective, we ended up solving a huge door puzzle, which opened it, gave us a trophy called Open Sesame. You can also farm the 1000 hit combo trophy here. Some people think you have to do it on Titan mode, but I was playing on easy thanks to a guide I watched, and yes, my fingers were in so much pain after attempting this 3 times. There was no room for any kind of error at all. Do not fuck this shit up. Next, we had to fight this fat ass guy named Kronos, who I think is Zeus's father, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if I'm up to date on the lore here. Anyways, we ended up having to fight enemies off this fat ass dude, and we ended up getting eaten by this gigantic motherfucker. And we sliced our way out of him, getting a kidney stone in the process, putting Burrow on a shirt, trying to get a free meal from us. I also got this trophy from using different souls on the claws of Hades, which gave us our next trophy, Sold Out. Next on the list, we ended up talking to Hera, and she pretty much left us to get out of this maze, which really took a couple steps to figure out. It wasn't really that hard, but thanks to a guide video, that gave us our next trophy, seeing things from a different perspective. Pretty freaking cool, my guy. Later in the process, we fought a giant scorpion off steroids for some reason, who summoned little scorpions to come kill us. It would also nut juice on your face if you got too close to it, and we ended up defeating it and getting our next trophy, Freezer Burn. I was also in the labyrinth and died, which prevented me from getting a trophy, and so I had to end up getting it in my second playthrough. Shame on me. But we did end up saving Pandora, which gave us a trophy, but that doesn't mean the labyrinth was over. We still had to make our way through without dying, but the enemies and puzzles literally made me almost rage quit, but we stood on business and made it out. Let's go! We also got a trophy for maxing out all our weapons, which didn't take as long as I thought. With the gloves we got from Hercules, we also were able to break the chains of Olympus, which gave us the trophy 3 Wise Men. Now the rest of the game was basically me confronting Zeus and gave us a really long boss fight, which was awesome, but also very difficult. I really had a good time, but this was the toughest one yet because it felt like Zeus would adapt to the way you'd fight. So if you made the same combo too many times, he can pretty much predict what you're gonna do next. So if you're not careful enough, he's gonna end up killing you and you're gonna have to start over. We ended up killing him, but for some reason this guy refuses to die and gets the soul sucked out of him. Hey yo! Pause. And he comes back and kills us, which sucked ass. Then we got put into Kratos' mind and had to go through a lot of terrible events, and eventually we made it out after Kratos accepted who he is pretty much, and we got right back to beating the shit out of Zeus, which gave us the Retribution trophy, baby. Now I have to play the game again on Titan difficulty, and let me tell you, the first playthrough took me between 5 to 7 hours. The Titan difficulty literally felt like double that, but after doing all that, we got all the trophies I missed, which I'll show right here. And all I had left was the Challenge of Olympus trophy, which took me about 20-40 minutes and was not that hard, to be honest with you, but you can easily get stuck on these if you don't watch a guide video, which I had to do for a couple of them. So hate on me all you want, but literally some things in this game I just could not do it by myself. It would have literally taken me a lot longer, but I'm glad I looked up how to do it. So yeah, I'm not a pro gamer, so you guys can hate on me all you want. I want to make gaming content because I love video games, but I am not a pro gamer. I do not claim to be, but maybe one day I will. One day I might be, who knows. But other than that, this was God of War 3 Remastered. Game was awesome. It's my first platinum. I felt very satisfied and happy with it. I definitely recommend this game. I definitely want to platinum a lot more games in the future, but that's it for today's video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Psst, by the way, Arkham Knight Platinum next, baby.